Your Lightning Soul, Ep.1 Genesis. In the beginning, before time was born to measure loss, there was only the deep, a silent, shoreless ocean of possibility, draped in a velvet darkness where the stars were not yet dreams. It was an expanse without dimension, a quiet so profound it held the echo of every word ever to be spoken. Into this holy stillness, a thought stirred, not from without, but from within the fabric of the void itself. A presence, self-existent and eternal, gathered from the infinite potential. It was a current of mysterious energy, a flow of consciousness that knew itself only as I am. And in the knowing, it became a singularity of light, a radiance so absolute that it gave birth to existence itself, pushing back the endless dark not with violence, but with the simple, irrefutable fact of its own being. From this first dawn, woven from the very fabric of this new light, the angels were formed. They were not created in a single moment, but bloomed into being like a celestial garden. Legions of luminous beings, each a unique facet of the divine thought. There were the seraphim, burning with a love so pure they were living flames, and the cherubim, whose wisdom held the patterns of creation. And there were the morning stars, bearers of light to the furthest reaches of the new existence. Their wings were like spun starlight, their voices a torrent of praise, a waterfall of sound that filled the void with the first song, a symphony of such perfect harmony that it vibrated with the joy of its own creation. Yet in the heart of perfection, a seed of discord found purchase. In Lucifer, the most brilliant of the morning stars, a light of unparalleled splendor, pride began to smolder. He was the bearer of the dawn, the first to greet the light, and he beheld his own beauty in the mirrored stillness of the celestial sea, mistaking the reflection for the source. A thought, his own and yet alien, bloomed in the perfection of his mind. The light I bear is as great as the light that made me. Why should I serve when I can rule? This single thought was a dissonant note in the great song, a crack in the flawless crystal of heaven. The poison whisper slithered through the heavenly choirs. We can be as gods, it hissed, a seductive lie of self-exaltation that promised freedom but forged chains. The harmony fractured. Angels looked upon their brethren with new eyes, not of unity, but of calculation. A third of the stars of heaven were swayed, their light curdling into shadow, their songs twisting into anthems of rebellion. Eternity shuddered. The celestial courts, once a place of seamless praise, became a landscape of impossible choices, where loyalty was tested and brotherhood was broken upon the anvil of ambition. A war of impossible scale erupted, light against corrupted light. The archangel Michael, his face a storm of sorrowful duty, raised a sword of pure, concentrated starlight against his brother Lucifer. Swords of fire clashed against blades of ambition, and the cries of betrayal echoed through a heaven that had never known sorrow. With a power that was itself an act of creation, the rebels were vanquished, their twisted light overwhelmed. They were cast down from the heights, their beauty turning to ash as they fell, a rain of dying stars plummeting into a binding darkness, their final, defiant screams swallowed by the infinite void. Below, the world that was to be became a casualty of the fall, a formless, desolate sphere, shrouded in shadow and drowned in a featureless deep. It was a canvas unmade, a promise broken before it was kept, scarred by the echoes of the celestial war. Upon this chaos, the Spirit of God moved, a presence of silent, brooding power, hovering over the face of the waters like a promise waiting to be spoken. It was a presence of infinite patience, of a love that would not be deterred by ruin. Then, from the heart of the light, the voice sounded, not as thunder, but as a vibration that resonated in the very structure of the void. It was the word that builds worlds. Let there be light, and light, pure and primordial, burst forth, a shockwave of illumination that scattered the ancient darkness. The voice spoke again, and a great firmament, a dome of sapphire and crystal, stretched across the heavens, dividing the waters above from the waters below. The seas, with a deafening roar, were gathered into their appointed places, and from the deep, the dry land rose like the backs of sleeping leviathans. Mountains clawed at the new sky, their peaks wreathed in mist, and the earth, naked and waiting, heard the call to bring forth life. A vibrant green blush spread across the continents, the soft velvet of moss on stone, the intricate lace of ferns in shadow, and the silent, patient reach of great trees, their leaves unfurling to drink the new light. Then 2 great lamps were hung in the expanse, a blazing sovereign of gold to rule the day, and a silent queen of silver to govern the tides of the night. The stars were scattered across the darkness, like diamond dust thrown from a divine hand. The waters, once empty, now teemed with life. The flash of silver scales, the slow, majestic glide of the great whales in the abyss. The air, once silent, now filled with the rush and beat of a million wings as the birds took flight, their songs a tapestry of sound woven through the branches of the new world. The land itself stirred with movement as creatures great and small took their first steps upon the warm earth, their instincts a perfect map of their new domain, their existence a testament to the untamable joy of creation. On the 6th day, the Creator knelt upon the new earth, not with a word, but with hands of light. A form was sculpted from the rich red clay. It was a masterpiece of dust, a vessel of perfect proportion, infused with the sorrow of the war and the hope of the new world. Yet it was still and silent. Then the Creator leaned close and breathed into its nostrils the neshama, the breath of life, a spark of the divine fire. A tremor ran through the clay. A heart began to beat, a rhythm against the silence. And the man's eyes, the first human eyes, opened to a world awash in color and light, their depths reflecting the face of his maker. He was Adam, the earthborn. From that same earth, a second form was shaped, equal in grace and strength. She was not an afterthought, but a twin flame, her spirit as wild and untamed as the new world itself. She was Lilith. When she opened her eyes, they held not just wonder, but a fierce, questioning intelligence. She stood and faced Adam, her equal in every way. But when they were to lie together upon the soft grass, Adam, remembering the hierarchies of heaven, sought to place himself above her. Lilith's eyes flashed. "I will not lie beneath you," she said, her voice clear and strong, "but with you, for we are both from the earth and I am your equal." Adam, his heart still patterned with the order of the angels, could not understand. He saw her defiance not as strength, but as a flaw in the perfect harmony of the garden. He argued for the order he knew, the structure of above and below, but Lilith would not yield her spirit. With a sorrow that was the first human heartbreak, she turned from him. She chose exile over submission, walking away from the perfect garden and into the unknown lands beyond. Adam watched her go, a profound loneliness washing over him, the first taste of loss in a world that was meant to be whole. Her name became a forbidden whisper, a ghost in paradise. In Adam's solitude, a loneliness echoed in the heart of paradise, a silence where Lilith's voice had been. The Creator saw the ache in him and caused a deep sleep to fall upon him, a slumber that touched the edge of non-being. And from the man's side, from the bone that guarded his heart, a piece was taken. It was not from the dust of the world, but from the flesh and bone of the man himself that a second being was fashioned. She was a harmony to his melody, a gentle strength to his raw power, created not to be his equal, but his complement. Adam awoke, and when he saw her, a profound recognition dawned in his soul, a memory of a wholeness he never knew he had lost. She was different from Lilith. Where Lilith had been fire, she was water. "This is now bone of my bones, and flesh of my flesh," he whispered. his voice filled with a healing awe. He named her Eve, the mother of all living, and in her eyes he saw not a challenge, but a home. Together, they walked in the cool of the day, sovereigns of a world without thorns. The great beasts came to be named, their wildness tamed by the innocence in Adam's eyes. They swam in the Pishon River, its waters like liquid crystal, its bed lined with onyx and gold. They were naked, yet they knew no shame, for they were clothed in a light of their own, an unblemished purity that was more beautiful than any royal garment. Their life was a seamless communion with each other, with the world, and with the voice that walked in the garden. But the shadow of the fall from heaven was long, and it reached even into the heart of Eden. The serpent, the fallen morning star, cloaked in a beautiful, subtle guise of iridescent scales, slithered through the perfect grass. His beauty was a weapon, his movements a hypnotic dance. He found Eve when she was alone, standing in contemplation before the one forbidden thing, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, its fruit pulsing with a strange, alluring light. He did not approach with aggression, but with grace, his presence a dark mirror to the garden's perfection. His voice was not a hiss, but a silken, reasonable whisper that coiled around her heart. Did God really say? The question was a seed of doubt planted in the fertile soil of her curiosity. He spoke not of rebellion, but of wisdom, of secrets, of seeing the world as God sees it. He knows that when you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like gods, knowing good and evil. The fruit on the branch seemed to pulse with that promise, holding all the mysteries of the universe within its skin. Her hand, trembling with a desire she had never known, reached out. The bite was a schism in reality. The taste was a paradox, at once intoxicatingly sweet and devastatingly bitter. It was not just knowledge that flooded her senses, but the awareness of it. She saw the light, but now she also understood the darkness that defined it. She saw her innocence, and in seeing it, it was gone. With a new and terrible light in her eyes, she found Adam. She offered him the fruit, not with words, but with a look of desperate, shared knowing. He saw the paradise in her had been broken, and in an act of love that was also an act of despair, he chose to fall with her. He ate, and in that moment, their eyes were truly opened. They saw their nakedness, and a cold dread, the first shame, fell upon them like a shroud. In the cool of the day, the voice of God walked in the garden, and the sound that was once their greatest joy now filled them with terror. Where are you? The question echoed through the trees, a question not of location, but of their very being. They were found, hiding in their shame. The judgment that followed was not spoken in rage, but in a sorrow that shook the foundations of the earth. The serpent was cursed. The woman was given the sorrow of childbirth, the man the burden of toil. Death, a concept they could not have understood an hour before, had entered their world. Cherubim, with faces of terrible beauty and swords of living flame, were placed at the east of the garden to guard the way back to the tree of life. Adam and Eve stood on the edge of the world they had known, the gate a wall of impassable fire at their backs. Before them lay the wilderness, vast, untamed, and shadowed. A cold wind, the first they had ever felt, made them cling to one another. Paradise was a memory. They were exiles, their immortality forfeit. Yet, as they stared into the infinite darkness, a faint, unquenchable echo of a promise, a whisper of grace woven into the very fabric of their curse, flickered in their hearts. The first hint of a hidden plan of redemption, a long and winding road back to the light, waiting to unfold in the ages to come.